In preliminary card action at UFC 120, the lightweights are in action as the always exciting Spencer the King Fisher brings his record of 23-6 into the cage and attempts to snap a 2-fight losing streak as he meets Kurt Warburton, who holds 6 victories and a loss on his resume, making his UFC debut. Undefeated British fighter Paul Sass makes his UFC debut Saturday against the 8-2 Mark Boots Holst. Sass is a devastating submission fighter with 9 of his 10 victories coming by way of submission and only 2 fights leaving the opening round. Holst, a native of Ottawa, Ontario, made his UFC debut at the Ultimate Fighter 11 finale in June, dropping a unanimous decision to John Gunderson. Steve Cantwell's back is up against the wall this weekend following losses to Luis Kane and Brian Stan. The 7-3 light heavyweight will be squaring off with Stanislav Nedkov at the O2 Arena. Nedkov, who holds victories over Travis Few and Kevin Randleman, is making his Octagon debut on Saturday. 2 heavyweights who are also making their debut this weekend are heavyweights Rob the Bear Broughton, who holds a record of 14-5-1 fighting out of the Wolfslayer Academy, taking on Brazilian fighter Vinicius Queiroz, who holds a professional record of 5 wins and 1 loss. France meets Sweden on the undercard as noted stand-up fighter Cyril the Snake Diabate, who has amassed a record of 16-6 over the course of his 11 years in the sport, hopes to follow up on his impressive UFC debut where he stopped Louise Kane when he takes on 9-1 Alexander Gustafsson, who is 1-1 inside the UFC with a victory over Jared Hammond and was submitted at UFC 112 by rising star Phil Davis. The preliminary card rounds out with light heavyweight action as Ultimate Fighter Season 10 alumni James McSweeney, who enters with a record of 4-5, takes on the 17-3 Fabio Maldonado. McSweeney is making his debut at 205 pounds, coming down from heavyweight for this bout against a UFC debuting Maldonado, who is riding a 10-fight winning streak coming into UFC 120.
John, it's a free card on Saturday, which is always a positive. As we go into this card in London, England, your thoughts on the fight of the night heading into this one?
I am 100% positive that the fight of the night is going to be Carlos Condit and Dan Hardy. People have seen Dan Hardy. They're going to get a chance to see Carlos Condit and all the dangerous things he does inside of the octagon. My pick for fight of the night, that or Bisping and Akiyama.
Yeah, always decisive, John Ramdine. It's UFC 120 taking place this Saturday night from the O2 Arena in London, England. It's free, so you can't really complain that much. He's John Ramdine. I'm John Pollock. Thanks again for watching us here on the Fight Network.